Hello everyone, Marianne here, revealing light, tarot, astrology and spirituality. Wherever you are in the world when you're watching, a huge shout out to you. How are you today, everyone? It's overcast and pretty dreary here today, but I know my friends in the Northern Hemisphere move into their spring, or you're in your spring and moving into your summer. So when I wear my winter woolies, or in this case, my autumn woolies, it does look a bit strange. But remember, I'm on the opposite side of the globe to you. Okay, so let's get started today. We've got a lot to read on. Of course, with Netanyahu announcing his move into Rafah, and they've taken the crossing between Rafah and Egypt. There's pretty serious concerns about that because fuel and water can't get in to power one of the remaining Gaza hospitals left. If they don't have that, they can't operate as a hospital, not to mention food and other supplies going through that crossing. There is one other crossing opened, however, that's pretty slow as I understand it. Before I start on the Middle East, and I will get to the ex-president and his trials and what might be happening with those, because these are the issues that are fairly current and uppermost in my viewers' minds. I do want to just flag three important stories that occurred this week. So Axios reported, and it was later confirmed by the Defence Secretary Austin, that the Biden government had stopped a shipment of ammunition to Israel. These were the bombs, and they did that again, against a backdrop of President Biden warning against laying siege to Rafah, and of course Netanyahu has done that and basically came out and said, if we have to go alone, we will go alone. The reason Biden's so concerned about Rafah is this is where over 1 million Palestinians, refugees, are taking shelter. The second story is Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's rejection of hostage release and ceasefire, and the mass protests within Israel calling for his removal. That's why I want to look at today Israel's chart, and we'll look at that compared to Netanyahu's chart and just what kind of a track he is taking them down. The third story of importance this week is the release of a 2018 secret letter from Netanyahu, endorsed by the Trump administration. Mnuchin, remember, his secretary Mnuchin, seeking Qatari payments to Hamas of $30 million a month from 2018 onwards. So all of those stories are in mainstream media. You can look them up and get free access. Those three stories, a 2018 secret letter from Netanyahu, supported by the Trump administration, seeking Qatari payments of $30 million a month to Hamas in Gaza. All right, let's get started. Many of you are, I don't know why you're still in disbelief, but anyway, there we have it. The siege has actually started in Gaza, and some pretty distressing photos and images are being shown. Polls for a while now has shown the majority of Americans, and I'd wager the world, wants permanent ceasefire and the killing to stop. Okay, let's take a look at just what is happening in the Middle East through the lens of astrology, and then we'll get on to the tarot. Let me just share the screen and see if I can call this up. Okay. All right, let's just take a look at Israel's chart here and now. And I said this for today's date, well, certainly today's date in Australia. I think it might be the latter stages of the 8th of May in the Northern Hemisphere. And I set it for 8:30 in the morning. I don't know why I did that. Pick a time, and you'll see the major transits are going to remain fairly stable. So what is of note here to me? Well, let's start with Juno. Juno down here. Now, she is one of the 4 major asteroids. And Juno is, there's a quincunx here, a quincunx, which is a strong influence to the god of war, Mars, in Aries in the 10th house. So what does Juno actually say? She's in the 3rd house, and that's the house of communication. Let's have a look at what Juno actually is. According to cafeastrology.com, which is a great site if you want to go on and create your natal chart, you can do that on this site. She is the Roman goddess, and she was protector and counselor of the state who held watch over women. Her counterpart in Greek mythology was Hera. We all know about Hera, and also how angry and how powerful Hera could get. So she represents Juno / Hera represents commitment, but she also represents betrayal. She represents give and take in partnerships, infidelity, fairness, and compromise. Now, Mars in Aries in the 10th house. That's the public persona. That's the reputation. That's what we see. That is the government also. And so there is an incompatibility between fairness, if you like, perceived, and communication of fairness, and Mars, the Mars in Aries, the warlike energy. Within Israel, I'm not even talking about anywhere else. Within Israel themselves, there's a feeling, a strong feeling, that what is happening in Gaza is not in the best interests of bringing hostages home, nor is it in the best longer term interests of Israel. So now we have this major separation between the Biden government in terms of laying siege to Rafah and Netanyahu. It's because that would be certainly very worrying for those other than Netanyahu and his far-right enablers. Now, we have here in the 7th house, this is the other thing that drew my attention, Ceres, goddess Ceres, and she is in Capricorn, and this is abundance and wealth through relationships and partnerships. Well, she is squaring, making a very strong influence here, or medium influence here, to the midheaven, to Chiron and Mercury. Chiron and Mercury in the 11th house. And so Chiron being the wounded healer, Mercury communication. So there's a real issue within Israel about internally how its government is communicating with its citizens, but also within Israel worried about how Israel is being perceived in the world, and particularly amongst its allies and partners. So we have Vesta here in the ascendant. Vesta is the goddess that represents the homeland, and it's in Cancer, the cardinal sign of Cancer, which is feeling, emotions in the 1st house, worry about the homeland. And there's a square here to the North Node and Hygeia. So that is telling us that there is concern here, although it's not the strongest influence. The strongest influence is around some of these oppositions, which I'll get to in a minute. But this is a concern that what is being done now will have huge implications for the future, for the future, the identity, of Israel, and what this means going forward. Some of these oppositions are very strong influences, as I've said, and we have opposition here from from Jupiter and Algol, of course, the fixed star of Algol, both conjunct in Taurus, to Pallas Athena in Sagittarius. And Pallas Athena was the goddess who advised governments and armies about strategies. And she is opposing Jupiter and Algol in the 12th house. 12th house can be endings. It's the end of the cycle. She's opposing in the 6th house. She's opposing any expansion of this war. So all indications are that what is happening now is not supported by internally. Now, obviously, it will be supported by many in Israel, but there is a growing, as we can see and evidence through the protests, there's a growing dismay that hostages after 7 months are still not here, and that ceasefire deals keep being rejected. And as we now know, they are being rejected by Netanyahu, whose primary goal is destruction of Gaza. And we'll get to see why he's going down that track in a minute. But apart from expansion of Israel and driving Palestinians completely out of their areas, apart from that, there is a deep-seated fanatical ideology issue here. And we can see this, it's incompatible with the future, because we have this strong this strong influence between the South Node in Libra, which is what we are supposed to be letting go of. The South Node is the past. We cannot hang on to the past because it is detrimental to our future. And the South Node, of course, will always oppose the North Node. But the North Node, of course, is in Aries, which is the new identity. And so there is this huge destined type of event in Israel which will carve a new way. And so that's why many experts, Middle Eastern scholars, and for goodness sake, let's listen to the scholars, are saying that this current trajectory that Netanyahu is leading Israel down is a pathway toward loss. Is a pathway toward loss, and at some point, and we have all the heavens in a way lining up to present the evidence to say don't go down this track, but that is being ignored by other interests. There are trines and harmonious flows in this chart. Vesta is trining Saturn in Pisces, but Saturn is a hard taskmaster, and this is putting in the work to control emotions, a steady hand, and we have Neptune here. What are we creating in the future? Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. And so it is only the Israeli people that will stop this. And of course, the US plays a major role as well. Juno, while we're speaking of Juno, is squaring Jupiter here in Algol. So basically, any escalation in the longer term is not in Israel's best interest. Now, that is my astrological interpretation. Let's take a look at Netanyahu's chart. Now, so the inner ring is what we've just covered. The outer ring is Netanyahu's chart. I'm not going to labour this point, but what actually lined up here, literally lined up here for me, he was born in 1949 in October 21 at 10:30 a.m. What struck me is that his South Node in Libra is conjunct Israel's South Node, which means, of course, his North Node in Aries is conjunct here as well. And so this is a fated time. particularly with Uranus here, Uranus in Cancer, and it is in the first house, in Netanyahu's first house. Volatility, unpredictability, extremes of the emotion is conjunct Israel's Vesta. And so where Netanyahu is dragging them is toward an instability. And we see here the other thing I wanted to mention was his Juno is conjunct transiting Israel's Juno as well. And so his Vesta in Capricorn, very much having worked the partnerships now and pulling away from those partnerships has huge ramifications. And then finally, we go to his 8th house, Jupiter in Capricorn in the 8th house. Can be 8th house, death, transformation, but also other people's money, doing well with other people's money in the 8th house, and Pluto in Aquarius in the 8th house as well. Pluto rules over Scorpio, is the lord of the 8th house in Aquarius, the many, the people. And so his interests, in a way, are being subsuming Israel's interests. And Chiron, given we mentioned Pallas Athena trying to warn against this type of action, Chiron, his Chiron is in Sagittarius, conjunct with his Venus. In fact, all of this is on his ascendant. And it is conjunct with transiting Pallas Athena. And so there is a wound here in the way that he perceives the future. He is part of the old legacy. So many planets in Libra, the planet of justice, where incidentally the South Node is sitting in Libra, what we need to let go of. And so this is where his extremism comes from, his extreme actions. But this is a time when to move forward in a way that benefits Israel. Netanyahu is actually taking Israel back in a very serious way that won't probably be obvious for some time yet. And so, yeah, very interesting with that North and South Node in Aries and Libra at this time. The nodes stay there for about 18 months, lining up exactly at this time with his North and South Nodes. So, all right, let's move on to the tarot. And we will look at... we'll move on to, so having looked at that astrology, it is reflecting, just in summary, it is reflecting what we all know, that this is madness to keep killing Gazans, walls of, dead children buried under rubble, utter madness. And this is taking Israel down almost an irreparable type of track. And so I am praying that the Israelis themselves remove this person. And I think ultimately, as I predicted, that's what will happen. Okay, so let's look at the ex-president. Some shocking news. Whenever this news arises, I get multiple viewers coming to me. Please, can you read on this? The judge in the classified documents case, which was probably, as again legal scholars say, was probably one of the easiest ones to try, has announced that the trial, which was supposed to go ahead on May the 20th, has been postponed indefinitely. So it's not a surprise. I've said she was putting sand in the gears, trying to slow things down. And so the special prosecutor, or the DOJ, What action can they take? I don't know. They would have to have, as I said, a third party evidence that she's being taking advice from another party, like a third party. They would have to have that evidence. Simply going slow on a case is not grounds for a recusal, or it is difficult to get a recusal based on that. But I don't know. I don't know. Let's have a look. Okay, so Judge Cannon. All right, will this trial go ahead before the November election? Will this trial go ahead before the November election? So we get the Ace of Cups. There's a potential here. All the aces are potentials, and it's crossed by the star. And as I was pulling cards, I did feel quite hopeful, but not about this trial, about January the 6th trial. But we'll get to that in a minute. So I also realised that so much damage has been done to the ex-president. He's done so much damage to himself that even the Republicans themselves are pulling away. Another example in Indiana, a red state. We saw that in Pennsylvania, which is purple state. People are still over 100,000 and more at the time that I saw it are voting for Nikki Haley. Republicans. In Pennsylvania, it was a closed primary. I'm pretty sure in Indiana it was too. Republicans. If he can't even secure those votes, how can he ever win an election? So with so much uncertainty, basing all your hopes on him being convicted in these other trials before November is probably a moot point. Okay, so we get the star and the Ace of Cups, and the foundation is the Five of Pentacles. Biggest problem for the ex-president this time, and I felt it really strongly over the last couple of days, he's got really serious money issues. He's got really serious, I think I said it in my last reading, and then it later emerged that he was berating his donors for not giving him more money. He's got serious personal financial problems, but also political donations are drawing up, certainly from major donors, and the smaller donors, I feel, are feeling that they, he's bleeding them. And so Five of Pentacles, this is left out, locked out, you can't get in. This is in relation to will this trial go ahead before the election? The Four of Swords in the past is retreat. Well, we already know that there's a retreat there. In the sky, we have the King of Wands. I do get a feeling Smith will take an action. I don't know why I'm getting that feeling, but I am. In previous readings, I've said she ends up recusing herself. The Wheel of Fortune, change is in the immediate future. The Four of Wands here is reunions, celebrations. It's the environment around us, the Page of Wands. We could hear something soon about this particular trial, or perhaps DOJ's answer to the delay. The Justice card is in the hopes and fears. Do I need to explain that? And then we get the Empress card, which is interesting. But that is a season of time. It is a yes card, but it's a season of time. And then we get the Six of Swords, moving out of troubled waters. And then we get the Five of Cups, loss and delay. I think she's going. That's what I think. The Four of Pentacles, holding back information. The Strength card and the Eight of Swords, restriction. The Seven of Swords, we get some kind of strategy, some kind of deception here. Perhaps around her will to get this done before the election, or the absence of it. I go back to, if she were to recuse herself, there has been some scandal around gifts that she's taken, but those same scandals have been shown with the SCOTUS, some SCOTUS members, and they're still there. I think that in itself, unfortunately, more a commentary on the state of the courts. and some of the justices than anything else. So let's have a look. Does the DOJ have any sort of evidence that she may have been getting advice from a third party? Does the DOJ have any evidence she may be getting advice from a third party? So we get the Page of Wands, and that came up before the Page of Wands. That is speaking, talking, and it's a younger person. And then we get Justice crossing that. She may have spoken out at some point. This could be what the DOJ has up its sleeves, something coming to fruition in time. The Two of Wands, be patient. The Sun card is in the past, full illumination. We have the Four of Wands again coming up. Is there a conversation that she's had with somebody that's going to emerge? In the Six of Wands, victory in the outcome, and temperance, moderation. There's a strong possibility that there's something that she's done in speaking to somebody else that may go against her, that they may raise, inappropriately speaking to someone else, perhaps allied or part of the Trump camp in some way, and they may track that back and ask for a recusal, but she recuses herself before it gets too serious, which is her modus operandi. Will the DOJ ask for a recusal? Let me just, my microphone was pointed the wrong way. Will the DOJ ask for a recusal for Cannon? Will the DOJ ask Cannon to be recused or appeal in any way her decision to postpone the case? It's pretty serious. The Three of Pentacles, it looks like there's an appeals court with three, and the Empress card, very strong yes card, and the Six of Swords. Yeah, they're appealing this, or they're asking for her recusal. This is going to an appeals court. So even though the pundits are saying it'll be hard to get through, they're doing it. The Tower card and the Four of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles. So yeah, this is they are going to take this further. Will it be enough for it to go ahead before the election? Possibly. I wouldn't write this off, although the processes would be incredibly tight. Let's have a look at the January 6th. So watch for the DOJ to appeal that decision to delay the case. All right. And watch for a possible conversation in a third party to emerge as well, with a third party to emerge. Something she's done or said to someone else will go against her. All right, so let's have a look at the January 6th, because this all relies on whether SCOTUS, who's already delaying this, what they come back with immunity when, you know, there's nothing in the Constitution about immunity. Nothing. Okay, so they're making it up as they go. All right, so let's have a look. January the 6th trial, will it go ahead before the election? I think there's a chance it will. There's plenty of efforts to hold this back, but somebody's got a battering ram and it's just battering through the wall of, you know, it's like preformed, like it's dirt and rubble. They're battering through it and moving that dirt. All right, so will the January 6th trial go ahead before November the 4th? So we have here the Three of Pentacles. Okay, well, that could be SCOTUS again, and the Page of Wands. We get the King of Pentacles, which is at the foundation of the reading. This is Trump, the businessman. This is Trump. And then in the past, we get the Fool card, but it's in the past. The new start's in the past. By the way, when I read on DOJ head Merrick Garland not being corrupt, not delaying, and everyone came for me, not everyone, please, not everyone, some came for me and said, oh, he's delayed, he's part of the Federal Society, he's a Republican, he's done his best to delay. It's now emerged. It's now emerged that when he got there, as soon as he got there, he opened the investigation. And there were so many Republicans and Trump appointees stacked there that actually thwarted him, that is what delayed him, not him, but what was left in that DOJ for him to get through. But he opened that investigation as soon as he got there. The Queen of Pentacles in the sky, January the 6th, Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is good. That's having everything you need. It's stability. And then we get Temperance. I think there's a good chance. There's moderation and fairness here. I think there's a good chance this is going ahead. We haven't got to the end of before the election. The Page of Cups, something unexpected, and the Ace of Cups is in the environment around. There is a will to perhaps see this done. The Ace of Cups. A lot of emotion around wanting to see this done before a federal election. The Seven of Wands, if one plan doesn't work, the next does. This is good energy for it to proceed, and absolutely it will. The Ace of Swords is the outcome, the truth. The Hermit, perhaps dark tunnels, review, reflection on the truth. And then we get the Chariot. Yeah, it's going ahead before the election. January the 6th. I knew I had that vibe. The Moon card is at the base of the pack and the Ten of Wands. Why are we surprised? However, there's victory over volatile and delaying forces. Okay, so there you have it. We'll see the January 6th. According to this read, at this time, there is a will to see the truth emerge. Now, I want to just talk about the New York trial. I've already said that there'll be a conviction there. I've already said there's a possibility that they would set something up if he is convicted. If he receives a jail sentence, they might set up something alternate. The gag order, I did actually see him breaking the gag order in the January 6th trial, but let's ask about will he? Apparently they're readying a jail cell. I think it's going to come to that. Let's see. The gag order in New York. Let's be specific. The gag order in New York. Will Trump go to jail? Judge Michon has threatened him. Will Trump go to jail for breaching the gag order in New York? I don't know. I don't think so. Four of Swords, retreat, illness, stepping back, and the Three of Pentacles, appeal. The King of Swords, planning and strategizing. In the past, we get the Page of Swords. It's like his mouth in the past. He may have been making an effort as much as he can. He can't shut his mouth. Seven of Pentacles. So there's an alternate plan here, and then we get the Lovers. Of course, his cult, the Ace of Swords, the truth emerging. We're getting a lot of that. The Queen of Pentacles, Stormy Daniels, gave her testimony, pretty damning. All the testimony for the prosecution has been pretty damning. Be patient in the hopes and fears. And finally, the Four of Pentacles. I don't think so. And the Ten of Cups, the voter, and the Eight of Swords, restriction. I'm not sure that Michon would jail him at Rikers. It could be some form of home detention, getting his family to, I don't know. Let's see what else is there. Something around his family, and the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Swords, Eight of Pentacles, and the world, endings and beginnings. The energy judgment, it is an inevitability. The volatility is an inevitability, but we get the Five of Pentacles and death, as well as the Hanged Man pausing. Thus is the energy for the ex-president. And, people are saturated by the coverage of his trials. They're saturated by coverage of him generally. Yeah, so I'm going to move over to the royal family. So will he go to the, I don't see it coming to that. He may get some form of home detention as a sentence. And of course, if it was anyone else, do I have to say this? They'd be in the slammer right now. Okay, so I want to go to Prince Harry, who's back in the UK right now. Again, I'm not in anyone's camp, but I've always had always admired both of those royal children. Well, they're not children, they're adults, particularly for what they went through as children. All right, let's go to Prince Harry. My last reading on him, I thought that he would be asked back to do some kind of take some kind of semi role in some kind of official way. I think they're actually talking to him at this time. Let's take a look if that intuition is reflected in these cards. I used the Radiant Wilds Tarot, and I'm now using the Spiral, the Tarot of the Mystic Spiral. All right, Prince Harry, let's go right into his energy. Prince Harry, Prince Harry, Prince Harry. The star, I'm seeing the star, the literal star, which is hope. So that he and the Duchess are going to Nigeria. This is not an official royal tour. Nigeria has asked them to go. So I'm seeing a lot around Africa. I did initially think that they may actually take some kind of a ambassadorial role in Africa. Okay, so hate is going to hate. No matter who you're hating on, don't hate on this channel. I've got pretty strict moderation. So okay. Prince Harry, are you going to undertake some official royal duties? Will you in the future undertake some official royal duties? So that I see a tree fallen out by the roots, and he's sitting on the fallen tree. Okay, so he's very happy. He's very happy with his lot. Okay, because I just see daisies and flowers around him. Something goes right down to the roots and the bedrock of who he is. And he's very, very happy at this time. Prince Harry, are you going to be asked to take on some royal duties? The Seven of Cups, So choices, he's very aware of what has happened in the past and what choices. The sevens are all about lessons, notches on the belt. But he loves his family as well. He loves his extended family, and he loves his own family. His revelations, he got a lot off his chest. The Knave of Swords. Okay, so the Page of Swords. So the energy still, there's a lot hasn't been forgiven. And on both sides, there's a lot of healing here. We have the Five of Pentacles locked out, left out. So this energy would suggest not at this time, but we haven't got to the end of the reading. There's too much there that hasn't been healed. The Chariot is his move to the US. It is things, again, potentially getting out of control, a roller coaster ride up and down and up and down. And then we get the Nine of Cups here. Now we get to some kind of miracle type energy. It's potential. There is potential, given the current circumstances around the royal family, for a miracle to occur. And we get the Four of Wands in the immediate future, going home, reunions, good energy in the immediate future. So here we get to it. The Knight of Pentacles is consistency. This is his role with the Invictus Games as well. So there's a lot of consistency around what he's been doing. He hasn't wavered from what he was doing before. He's still doing some of that now. And we get the Six of Wands, which is the victory card.
So right now he's perceived in certainly within royal ranks, not from his detractors, of course, those people that get on Twitter and do what they do, and some people that try and do it on my channel. But within the royal, there's this energy up front which is very deep, a lot of healing needed, being locked out. But there's something in the here and now that says his consistency is considered as a boon, as a benefit to the royal family. We get the Knave of Wands in the hopes and fears. Of course, they're worried that he may speak out again. But also that he can speak and draw an audience. We have the Ten of Pentacles, family legacies, inheritances, and we get the Magician, manifestation. They're very strong cards, and the King of Pentacles. So who are the earth energies within the royal family? This is also about deals and avoiding potential betrayal, almost like prenup agreements, the Five of Wands. So basically there's an underlying energy of hurt and betrayal on both sides, on both sides. However, there's a recognition of his consistency and his ability to still work in a very positive way for the royal family, and they are currently negotiating. Just take a look at this energy. I always look for a major arcana. We have the Ten of Pentacles, family, heritage, legacy, magician, manifestation, very strong yes cards, and the King of Pentacles. Much of this is around what restoration of some, if he's a working royal, then obviously what there's kind of contracts being worked out. The Six of Cups is the past, and the Two of Swords, heavy decisions. So a new start. So and the Lovers, obviously concerned about Meghan, but also concerned about the monarchy as well. Yeah. Don't be surprised if he starts to undertake some in a semi capacity. Perhaps there would be, I think the contracts being drawn up now are very, very explicit around what they will be, what events they will be, how this will work. And yeah, anyway, that's what I see. Don't be surprised. There's a lot of hurt and betrayal there, but there's also a lot of loyalty and also a need at this time, given the current circumstances, for him to do this. You might see him doing some alone, and you might see some with the Duchess as well. All right, so we'll leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's look at things. I do want to stress that what is occurring in the Middle East now is not it's not helping. It's not helping Israel's longer term interests, apart from the travesty and the suffering of the little children in Gaza. The first bombs were sent across to Rafah, and images coming out are walls of children buried under rubble. And I want to remind, not that I'm biblical, not that I'm religious in any way, but I do want to remind people that the Bible is very clear that about how we must protect children, and that those that don't get into the kingdom of heaven. And so I feel that there is beyond religion, in a spiritual sense, what we say, what we do, what we feel now. If there's no compassion in your heart, if your first thing is, but what about Hamas? What about this? What about that? If your first instinct is this kind of, I don't know, political, over the compassion in your heart for hostages, for those that have been killed, at every stage, and the mass killings in Gaza at this time. If there's no compassion in your heart there, if first you go to the politics and your political views without having compassion in your heart, then this is a sad and sorry time, isn't it? Okay, hold the prayers for the children, hold the prayers for the innocent, regardless of where they're located in the world. I have enough compassion, and I know you do too, to spread right across the world wherever it is needed. Hold that in your heart, and your spiritual development is evolving. All right then, bye for now. I'll be back again soon with another reading. Cheerio, my friends.